If you're brand new to RC and you're wondering what you should get, this is, in my opinion, probably the best choice. This is the Arrma Granite 4x4 Mega, and this is the 665 version. So it is a brand new release from Arrma. It is based off their best-selling Arrma Granite line. In my opinion, really the best way to get started into the hobby. This sells for $269 at the time of this video. I will have a link in the description below if you want to pick one of these up. They also have a Typhon that is also the same price. That is a more A-scale four-wheel drive buggy, but this is a really nice choice if you're looking to get started into the hobby. So here's the instruction manual in a few different languages, kind of shows you how to remove the body. They make it really easy to get started in RC if you have like no experience whatsoever. Very good instructions, a little technical information about how to set the mesh, how to remove the power module, that kind of thing, as well as a parts diagram showing you everything that you could possibly want or need to buy to repair your vehicle, and actually how it's all assembled. And they give you some tools. So if you're getting started in RC, you probably don't have a whole lot of tools. You've got a 2mm and 2.5mm, which is really nice. Preload spacers. So these are things you put into the shocks to make it a little bit stiffer. And you also have a nice little tool to remove the wheel nuts, to disassemble the shocks, and then a 1.5mm tool, which is what you would use to remove the pinion gear on the motor. You get a little bind plug that you use with your radio. 4 AA. So this includes everything you could possibly need except for a battery and charger, and then a little card with some QR information where you can actually get help online. Here's the radio. Comes with the SLT2 radio. Pretty decent little radio. It's actually got throttle limiter, so if you want to turn down the power, you can. You can reverse the steering. It does have dynamic stability control to make it a little bit easier to drive, so it is basically a form of like a stability control. If your car's like feels like it's a little bit hard to drive on loose, rough surfaces, that'll help actually keep it in straight. Foam wheel, steering trim, steering dual rate, so you can turn down the steering if you feel it, turns too sharply. And then the trigger works pretty well. 4 AA's, of course, 2.4 gigahertz. So great little radio. And the fantastic thing about this platform is that you can also bind it up to any other Spectrum radio that you might have, like a DX6C or an IXSR or a DX5 Pro. Here's what the body looks like. This has been updated with pretty much all of the latest BLX parts that they recently introduced a few weeks ago in the 223S BLX system. So that includes the clipless body, so you don't have little body clips and just pushing these buttons, remove the body, and that's what it looks like underneath. So it is spring loaded and it has a lot of nice reinforcements into the shock towers to help the body survive a little better. I do like this detail here on the tailgate, so that was kind of an area that would tend to get beat up quite a bit because it is kind of sticking out when you land on the back end. It does come in 3 different colors: orange, a green, as well as a blue. So I like the new color scheme. This orange is like a very vibrant, like fluorescent color. I think it's pretty cool. My first Granite was an orange one as well, so kind of throw back to that. And I do kind of like the retro styling. I think it's actually pretty neat. Here's what the truck looks like underneath. You got the composite chassis unibody, basically. It is a nice wraparound skid plates here, front and back. They're integrated into the bumper, so a lot of beefiness. This thing is very, very durable in my opinion. The arms that go out to the tires are very beefy. The drive shafts are heavy duty. They are composite. Tires are awesome. These are some of the best off-road tires. They're soft, they're gummy, they're extremely grippy. The foams are quite nice, not too hard, not too soft. I've never broken a wheel. They're even vented, so if you got dirt inside of the tires, they will actually just be expelled. They do come with 14mm hexes, so the wheels and tires are also 14mm. A little bit different than most cars, but you can always upgrade to 12mm hex if you want to use a little bit smaller wheel hex size. Electronics-wise, you do have a nice system. This is the Spectrum Tune 1 brush motor system. It is 40 amps. You got a brand new motor, the 665 size. It is bigger than your standard 550 can. Looks a little bit wider, maybe length is similar, but definitely a bigger size can. You got a heat sink, a fan on top of it, help it keep cool. The S661 servo works totally fine. Composite drive shaft down the middle, but it does have that little cover here, so you don't get rocks and stuff jammed up into your center drive shaft. Battery straps are the latest updated ones, so yeah, you can actually use different systems, and you can clamp down your battery leads if that's something you want to do. I normally don't do that. It does use an IC3 connector here on the ESC. Also has stability control built in, so this should be a very easy to own, very easy to drive vehicle. The center power module is a little bit different. So they do feature something new in here, which is basically like an overloading system, kind of like a slipper clutch. It's basically something, if you have too much of a power differential between the front and rear, it will actually give. That way you don't grenade the drivetrain, you don't destroy the drive shafts or the discs or anything like that. It's pretty much maintenance free. You don't actually have to do anything. You don't have to adjust any slipper settings. So I think they tried to make this truck as easy to drive as possible. You really don't need to know anything. It will just work out of the box and get you going. Fairly large bore shocks, composite all the way around. They are preload adjustable. So these are pretty much the same as what's on the brushless system. So you get pretty much everything that you would want out of the brushless system, but at a lower price. But obviously it's not going to be quite as fast. It does have the upgraded input gears on the differentials. That was one area that could have worn out in the past, but that has been upgraded. So this can handle brushless power. If you want to go up, put in more power, a brushless 2S system, 3S, whatever, this thing can take it. You could always upgrade to the center differential if you want, but it is brushless ready, which is really cool. 2S out of the box, so it's not going to be crazy fast or anything like that, but it's nice that they pretty much share the same platform. So even if you want to get started at something more entry level, you can always upgrade later. It does have all the latest updates to the 2 to 3S, including the raised side guards to prevent mud and stuff from getting in the chassis. The turnbuckles and links and stuff are all composite, non-adjustable. Pretty much don't ever need to adjust that. That should work totally fine out of the box. But the truck looks really good. And next thing we're gonna do is kind of show you how to get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is throw in the battery. So you just push here on the little latch there. It actually tells you right there, plus on the front and negative sign here in the back. So you just kind of follow the instructions. Put in the batteries. Press it close, and then go ahead and turn on the radio. Next thing we want to do is install the battery. I've got this little 2S pack, so yeah, this is 2S capable, not 3S, so make sure you buy the right battery. I have it charged up, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. The battery straps just kind of loop on top of this hard plastic piece under the little holder there, wrap it around. You can tighten it down a little bit. Not a bad idea to pull this a little bit. Just to get it to lie a little bit flatter. I like to actually tuck the battery leads, under the Velcro a little bit or under the cables themselves, just to hold them in place. You don't want it rubbing up against the drive shaft, tearing through or anything like that. So go ahead and do that. Just helps it stay a little more secure. And then now we've got the battery installed and plugged in. We've got the radio on. Go ahead and turn on the ESC. So there's a little switch here. You push it to the back. You should hear it beep. You should hear that nice little ringtone indicating that it is ready to go. So the way the control works, it's a steering wheel. So you just turn it to the right to turn the wheels right, turn it to the left to steer a little bit left. If you want to go forward, you pull the trigger and you can brake. And then once it's stopped, actually pushing it forward actually makes the car go in reverse. So that's actually how you drive. And the last thing you want to do is make sure you put on the body, clamp it shut, and we're ready to go drive. Very smooth. Very good traction. I haven't touched any dials on the radio yet, but something you can always adjust is the steering trim knob. So if you need the car to go a little bit more left when your hand's off the wheel, you can turn it to the left. If it seems like it's turning too far left, adjust it to the right. That way you can make it track straight. Just something you gotta do on every RC car. And trim is something totally normal that's done. Have to be perfectly centered on the little arrow, because every servo, every radio, every receiver is a little bit different. So quite normal that it won't be exactly straight, although it's usually close. But wow, this thing super smooth. I've been driving a lot of brushed RC cars lately, and the one thing you definitely get with brushed motors is a lot smoother application of power. Brushless motors, especially if sort of more recreational stuff, is not going to be as smooth. That's why a lot of crawler cars are brushed, just because they have very smooth application of power, which is nice. And the speed on things is pretty decent overall. Obviously the VLX version is going to be quite a bit faster, but for a kid, someone new, or if you're not sure if you want to spend that much money, brush is totally fine. So the other thing to realize with a 4x4, especially an RC car, is once you're in the air, if you need to nose down a little bit, you can just brake in the air. That'll bring the car down. If you need to lift it up or maintain it a little bit flatter, you just hold down trigger, accelerate. That'll actually bring the car up a little bit. Something like a Granite is perfect for learning a little bit of air control or attitude adjustment. Because it's got the big tires, the big wheels, and yeah, whenever you crash, always a good idea to crash right in front of you. That way you don't have to walk very far to flip it over. Oh, not like that. Super smooth. Suspension is just perfect for something like this. Well, there you have it. First round, the Arrma Granite 4x4 Mega 665, a four-wheel drive electric 1/10 scale brushed motor RC truck, monster truck for $269.99. I think it's a pretty good deal. Super durable. I think it's basically going to be impossible to break. They made it really, really easy to get into. You don't have stability control if you need it. I don't think it needs it, but there's always something you can dial in. You can turn down the power if you're giving it to more of like a kid or something. The slipper, everything is all preset for you. You don't have to make any adjustments. Easy drive, durable, not expensive. I think they got pretty good little RC car, especially if you're new to RC, and then if you want something you can kind of upgrade as you get along. I think they made something really good here. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.